Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Ivan here, and I'm back with another big and bold watch review. This time it's from a micro brand called Audaz, and this is their Abyss Diver model, which they released a couple of weeks ago. You can tell straight away that it's heavily inspired by the Rolex Sea Dweller Deep Sea James Cameron, and that's totally fine for me as I love the design and the blue gradient dial. Guys, I think Audaz has done a great job with this watch. It looks good, it is affordable, and the lume is mind-blowing, as you'll see in a few minutes. Before we start talking about the watch, I want to give a huge shout out to the guys at seriouswatches.com whom I got the watch from. They're based in Netherlands, so if you live in Europe and if you're looking for a microbrand watch like Zilla's, Boulder or Formex, and you don't want to worry about import taxes, then I strongly recommend you check them out after this video. I'll leave the link in the description below. By the way guys, their customer service is among the best I've experienced, and even though it sounds like it, I can assure you that I'm not sponsored nor paid by seriouswatches.com. They're simply my go-to online AD when it comes to microbrand watches here in Europe. I usually don't include any unboxing footage in my videos because I don't find it interesting, but in this case I had to do it because the way that this watch came packaged is really impressive and unboxing it is quite an experience. So I pre-ordered this Audaz pretty much the moment it was announced, and I believe I was one of the first people to get it in Europe. In the box I was surprised to find an Audaz branded coffee mug, which is quite nice, but unfortunately it now belongs to my wife. I suspect they gave it only to a few people who pre-ordered the watch, but I'm not sure guys. Then the watch comes wrapped as a gift, and this is something that seriouswatches.com does by default with all purchases. They also throw in a Stroop waffle caramel flavor sort of cookie, which is delicious. And lastly, you get a letter with the invoice of your purchase, as well as some promotional brochures. The Audaz Abyss Diver watch comes in a travel case that you can use to transport, well, any of your watches, and you also get a free rubber strap. But you know me, I prefer bracelets, so I haven't even tried it on, but I guess if you actually do diving, then you'll find it useful. Finally, the 2 years warranty card can also be found inside the case. Alright guys, let's start with the review of the watch itself. The first thing I want to get out of the way are the dimensions. As you have already noticed, the Abyss Diver is not a small watch at all. The case diameter is 44mm, but the bezel edge sticks out a little bit. The lug-to-lug is 52mm, so it's really important that you make sure that your wrist span is equal or larger than 52mm, otherwise the lugs will overhang off the sides of your wrist. The thickness is 16mm, and finally the spacing between the lugs is 22mm. Guys, the watch is definitely substantial and it does take quite a bit of real estate on your wrist, but if wrist presence is important to you as much it is to me, then you won't be disappointed with this one. You can see it here on my 17cm or 6.7-inch wrist. The watch wears very well, it looks amazing, and it's surprisingly comfortable. I've been wearing it for the past 12 days as a daily, and the wearability hasn't been an issue. I'm not bothered by the weight either. In fact, I'm happy with it. I mean, yes, it's heavy. Sized for my wrist, it weighs 218 grams, which is 17 grams more than my Omega Planet Ocean, but I'm used to wearing bigger, heavier watches, so no complaints. The next thing I want to talk about is the finishing and the overall build quality, because this Audaz is very nicely made. The case feels rock solid, and just like the bracelet, it's fully brushed. As you can imagine, the main ingredient here is 316L steel for both the case and the bracelet. Then you get an extremely thick 4.8mm flat sapphire crystal with AR coating on the inner side. And guys, I can tell you that the quality of the crystal is very good as it is very clear, and I honestly think that it greatly helps with the legibility of the dial. On the left side of the case you can see the helium escape valve, since the watch is 1000 meters water resistant, and it is signed with HE, which as you know stands for helium in the periodic table of elements. On the opposite side we find the oversized screw-down crown, which is super easy to operate. Unscrewing it and screwing it down feels very refined, and as you can see it carries the Audaz logo. Finally, let's have a look at the case back. It's a screw down case back and it looks incredibly cool with that deeply embossed diver's helmet. I'm actually really glad that Audaz has made the effort with embossing the case back and not leaving it sterile or plain looking like many other brands do. Next, the 120 click bezel features a fully lumed ceramic bezel insert on top, and I'll show you the lume after we get a closer look at the dial, so please hold on for a moment. The action of the bezel is nice, although it has a little bit of backplay, but it's clicky, it turns very smoothly, and it is aligned. Moving on to the bracelet, it's actually not bad at all. The quality of the brushing is very good, all links are solid and so are the male end links. Audaz has opted for pins and colors instead of screws, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. As you can see, the colors are quite large, they sit inside the middle portion of each link, and as a result all links are put together in a very secure way, or at least that's the impression I get. The clasp, guys, is perhaps the only thing that could have been better. You see the Caesar portion is milled and it has a very nice diver's extension, which is milled as well, but the outer part is made out of stamped stainless steel, which feels a little bit cheap. However, the clasp works, it feels secure, and it has 4 micro adjustment points, so it's not bad by any means, but once again, it could have been better. Now, let's talk about the dial, which I believe is one of the biggest selling points of this watch, along with the build quality and the movement. It's a painted blue gradient dial and it's absolutely gorgeous. Overall, it's very well executed and the printing is very sharp. And I like that the date window at 3 o'clock is framed, as it gives the dial a more refined look in my opinion. Next, guys, the handset and the hour markers are brushed, which is something that underlines the tool nature of the watch. And I don't know if you have noticed, but the hour markers are oversized, I really like that, and they're also filled with a ton of Swiss Superluminova lume. Audaz doesn't specify which type, but judging by the bright green color, I would say it's C3. I might be wrong, but either way, the lume is incredible. It charges very quickly, it's insanely bright, and it just keeps glowing and glowing all night long. Definitely among the best I've reviewed so far. The one thing left to talk about is the movement. As you know, guys, most microbrand watches in the €500 price range go for the Seiko NH35. However, with the Abyss Diver, you get a miyota 9015, which I personally prefer over the NH35 for one simple reason, which is it's a higher beat movement. It beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour, which is 8 beats per second. Therefore, with the miyota, you get a smoother sweeping of the second's hand. It is also slightly more accurate, at least on paper, when compared to the Seiko NH35. With the miyota, you're supposed to get anywhere from -10 to +30 seconds per day. The miyota 9015 is just as reliable, it hacks, it hand winds, and it has a power reserve of 42 hours. So yeah, guys, the 9015 is a fantastic movement, and I'm glad to see it in a microbrand watch under €500. That being said, let's talk about the price and then discuss some alternatives. The Abyss Diver is currently going for €399 at seriouswatches.com, except the fully lume dial, which costs $419. All things considered, guys, I think it's a fair price for a well-constructed watch with killer lume and the miyota 9015. You do have alternatives though. For example, the Ocean X Sharkmaster 1000 costs the same. It has a domed sapphire crystal instead of a flat one, and its bracelet and clasp are a bit more refined. It's also available in a ton of different dial and handset configurations, but the movement inside of these is a Seiko NH35, and their case backs lack the beautiful embossing of the Audaz. But guys, let's say that you don't like either brands because their models are too reminiscent of the Rolex Sea Dweller, then I strongly suggest you check out bolder watches, especially their Odyssey lineup. They're more expensive, but in exchange for your money you get an original design combined with great lume and build quality. Personally, I'm very much interested in getting their Serpentine bronze model. I think it looks awesome. Unfortunately, it's out of stock now, but hopefully it will be back again soon. So guys, that's the end of today's video. If you're interested in getting a nice, big and tough Rolex lookalike watch, the Audaz Abyss Diver is a solid choice in my opinion. I really enjoy wearing mine, love the dial, the build quality is nice, and the lume, as you have seen, is insane, but hey, feel free to disagree with me in the comments below. Thanks for watching guys, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.